Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay and welcome to week 6 of Sub 3 to Seville. Now, I must show you my new t-shirt. I like cats and running and maybe 3 people. It was a Christmas present from Sue's cousins. I thought it was rather apt for a YouTuber. Pretends to have lots of friends and maybe doesn't really have more than 3. Anyway, who are the 3 friends? I think, well, Sue's one of them for sure. But she's unfortunately not here this week, so I'm going to have to make do with my t-shirts. So what I thought I'd do this week is do a bit of a summary of my week and interject with a few bits of clips that I filmed along the way. So here's a summary of my training the last few weeks using Strava, which is in the news a lot at the moment, isn't it? Because of all these uproar about the subscriptions going up without people knowing about it. Mine seems to be charged in US dollars and was only about $54 US for the year. And I've only just renewed it, so personally I haven't got anything to worry about, and I use it so much that I don't think I could really do without it. Anyway, so this is the training for this week. As you can see, the mileage this week at 65 miles just under was a bit less than it had been the last 2 weeks at 75 and 80 with the 71 before. But I think this week was actually the highest quality I've had. So I started off with a bit of a recovery plod, and then I went into sort of a traditional sort of easy day of an hour easy with some hill sprints at the end. And then I did on Wednesday, did a session of 15 by 3 minutes. And that was actually on Zwift, actually on the treadmill. I haven't used the treadmill for a while, but it was so wet and miserable out, I thought I would get on there. And then Thursday I went to see the physio, so I did about an hour easy before that. And then Friday was another sort of hour easy day, although actually it turned out to be a bit more steady pace this week. And then Saturday I had a big session of 2k at 10k pace, and then 12 by 1 minute hard, 1 minute off. And then Sunday was the long run. So what I've got is I've got some clips of the Saturday session and the Sunday run. So let's interject with those now. Well, everybody, hope you're doing okay. It's Saturday afternoon and welcome to a very wet Hampshire country lane here near Hartney Mordit and West Waldham. I'm going to do a session today of 2k fast, about 10k pace, then some 300 metre reps, 12 by 300 with a minute, Matt said. So yeah, I need to get on with this because the light's fading. All these roads are rather flooded, so I've taken off my Stryd because I think it's going to get absolutely sodden again. Nice little place. This is West Waldham. It looks a bit like a church there. What's Manor Farm there? Okay, there's a segment between West Waldham and East Waldham. It's about a mile. It's about 6 minute mile pace, which is about the pace I want to go. So I'll see if I can attack it. The only snag is there's a bit of flooded bit, so it could be interesting. Right, let's see if we can get this done. This is the 2k essentially. Okay, the 2k done. I think we've got the course record, about just under 6 minute mile pace. A few more minutes jogging, and then we'll go into 12 by 300. I think what I'll do then was 12 by 1 minute with 1 minute recovery. 3 metres will be about 1 minute for me, I think. Right, let's get on with this. Nice thatched cottage. So this is what I had to contend with the flood here into West Waldham. Okay, so I hope you can see me with my little GoPro light here. So yeah, session done, about an hour's worth of work, 12 by 300s. I went up this track, which turned out to be rather a wet downhill road. So yeah, a bit of fartlek in there as well for sure. Anyway, picking up some leg speed. Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay. Welcome to Dunsfold, the home of the Top Gear track. Not actually right here, but this is the village of Dunsfold. The Top Gear track is somewhere over that way, a few miles away. Anyway, got a 2 hour run on deck today. No Sue today, unfortunately. She's in Portugal, right, for some, isn't it? It's a bit warmer over there, no doubt. But Matt said to do sort of 30 minutes, sort of fairly easy, going sort of like a good sort of pace, not marathon pace, and then but the last half an hour, see what I can do. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think that'll be at least marathon pace, so we'll see how we go. Typically, I haven't exactly come out as early as I should do with Sue, so I have to really get going. But it's a nice day, it's not raining for once. Got the Prime X's on, also with a Stryd there, so I want to see how we do with that. And I'll do a bit of a summary of the week, so a bit of a sort of a bitty one this week. I did a session yesterday, so let's see when we get going, and we'll talk to you on the run, hopefully. Okay, we're at 5 miles in, doing about 7:30 pace. I thought we almost would have gone the warm-up straight into a quite hard session. It's a bit undulated, this course. I'm on Shillinglee Lane now, which is a long country lane from Plaistow heading back towards Hazelmere. Right, check it later. I've just had a Molson gel as well, caffeine one, so hopefully that'll keep me going. Okay, 10 miles in, I'm coming back to Shillinglee. I've just done a sort of loop around there, so I think as it's getting a bit dark, I'll start my harder effort, even though I'm absolutely quite tired already. Other thing to say, I think, was the pace has been sort of full on from the start really. So I can see whatever I can muster back to Dunsfold, which is about 4 or 5 miles or so. Okay, run done, 16.77 miles in about 2 hours 3, averaging of 7:22. Did find that quite hard work today, but that was a good pace, good honest effort. I didn't really sort of have any period where I was off the gas. I think I was trying to subconsciously get every mile 7 something. I remember I did this trick about 2016 before a race I did in Italy, and I was trying to go for 6 something every mile, so I seemed to have fallen off the pace a bit in all those years, but that felt quite hard, tough work today, and it wasn't just 7:50, that was 7:22, so yeah, good. I had 2 gels in the end and kind of needed them. One, actually, well, technically I had 3, because I had one just before I started, a normal Morton gel, then I had a caffeine gel after about 5 miles, another normal one after about 10, and then I hit that last sort of half an hour, 40 minutes quite hard. Well, it felt like it was hard. I'm not sure that the pace actually increased that much, but I think it sort of went down to around about 7-minute mile pace, and it was sort of getting dark by then, so I was having to sort of fight my way. So the Primexes were a good choice for that one. They do feel quite heavy in my size, so it feels like you're going to get some sort of lift when I go to next percent, the Vaporflies that is, in the race. So these ones are about 380 compared to next percent version 1 about 250, which is a significant difference. Just feels like when you want to get up in the pace. I also noticed it downhill, not great shoe for running downhill, so much stack that you got to watch where you're going, but they do cruise along nicely, and as I said, that extra weight I feel like it is sort of helping. A few times I thought like my ankle was getting a bit sort of in danger of pulling it, but it was okay. It's a shoe that kind of makes you want to run sort of with good form, if that makes sense, if that's at all possible on a run like that. So if we just go back to having a look at Strava and see how interesting it is for me, here's Darren Smith, would you believe, doing an afternoon walk. He's normally a sub-3 marathon runner. I'm not sure what he's up to there. But there's the Dev Runner on YouTube, one of my favourite channels to watch, because he's a very similar runner to me, similar age. And it looks like we almost did a very similar run today, 18 miles at 7:24. So he's, I think, training for a marathon, so good to see him there. And there's Mark Threffel from Global Triathlon Network, GTN. He's doing a run, also a similar pace, so doing low 7s is obviously the thing to be doing, isn't it? Adam Tango Holland, prolific sub-3 marathon runner and also prolific Zwifter as well. Then we come on to Seth James Demore, possibly the slowest runner on YouTube, but also runs the most for his talent. What the hell is he doing this time? 11 miles at 11-minute mile pace. And that is basically almost a walk, isn't it? Not quite sure what all that's about. Maybe he's knackered. God knows. Tune in tomorrow to see explain that one. Matt DeFreitas, sub-4 miler, putting in some efforts there. Obviously not sub-4 miler at the moment, that was back in the day, but he's potentially going to be one of the top M50s in the country. Steve Smythe from AW, another prolific sub-3 runner. He was on the Watt bike. Bryn Reynolds, a local runner to me, very good runner. He's also on the bike. These people are not running. Chad Kundum, I think I met him on Zwift. Tony Wong, he used to go to university with him back in the day. He's now lives in Australia. All these people are riding. Do they not run anymore? Steve Beckett, he's from Zwift. He's also not running. Mark Pritchard from my cycle club. Conrad from Portsmouth. What's he doing? 8-minute miles. Michael Nellums, he lives near me in Claygate. He's doing a bit more swimming these days. I don't think he's been... Well, Lisa Webb is one of the people I see at Body Limits. Well, that's totally screwed up my knee now. So you see, like, you need to look at all these people, see what they're up to. What I do find interesting as well is these are the subscription perks that I get. So Training Log, this is sort of like the nice summary view, and you can kind of add on the different things. So I've got it set to all at the moment, and it basically is adding in my runs and virtual runs for the total. If I was doing cycling, I'd probably then filter it down so I didn't get all that stuff in the mileages as well. In fact, I'd probably need to take off golf, but just make that run and virtual run, otherwise I get mileage for golf. And what else have we got? This was one of the ones I found most interesting, the fitness and freshness graph. So if we take off these two, so this is the last 3 months. It's basically an accumulation of the training you're doing related to the effort and the heart rate. It's a bit sort of related to how much volume you're doing, but it's quite motivating to see that I'm at my highest level there in the last 3 months. In fact, if I switch it to a view of the last 2 years, I'm actually at my highest level for the fitness, inverted commas, for the last 2 years. And if I turn on the whole thing, there we are at the moment, 95. So I haven't been as high as 95 since early 2016 by the looks of it. And then before that, periods here in 2012 2014 when I was actually reasonably fit, and then going all the way back, has to go all the way back to 2007 when I was kind of recovering from a few years off injured, and then back to my earliest days on Strava 2005, which is my PB marathon. Obviously I'm running faster now for the fitness, it's all relatively, but you can see the amount of training I'm putting in recently is certainly as high as it's been for a long time, which isn't for want of trying. So I think it's a combination of having Matt as the coach to sort of motivate me and get me out and actually to do things in a structured way, and actually having the time and efforts to do so, and also a big help to Sue when she comes out with me. What else do we get? Power Curve is more of a cyclist training plans. I don't really use that, but you also get Create a Route under subscription, and also here I use this Strava Source for Performance. That's all the peak performances that you see within the Strava feed. So here we're seeing this is my peak heart rate so far this year. If we change this to pace, and you can see that when I was doing those reps, just hit my fastest 400 this year of 5:29. If we go out a bit to say let's go out to say a mile, and then my fastest mile so far this year was that 2k effort yesterday where I hit 5:49 as a peak within that mile. So yeah, then if you go out to what's a half marathon, so the one I did just before Christmas, 7:15, that was the 6x3k effort, and then today's one comes second, just slightly slower. That was a steady run today, non-stop, 7:19, so I was almost the same pace as I was doing those 3k efforts. And yeah, obviously we don't have a 26.2, so it remains to be seen what I'm going to get. The Strava for Source is a thing that I'm actually paying for as an extra to Strava, so it's kind of built on top of Strava. So yeah, I mean, it's another example of something that I really make use of. And you know, if I consider that, so how many shoes I bought in recent months that have been absolute waste of money, like the Brooks Ghost 15 I haven't done a video on yet. There's a pair of Adidas shoes. The SL was pretty disappointing. I haven't run that very much. Got the Solar Glide 4 GTX, which was also pretty hopeless. Power here, you see that's coming from the Garmin. If we have a look at Stryd, I actually used Stryd on the treadmill on Wednesday doing the 15 by 3 minutes. So here is the Stryd graph. Now this is the power and the pace, and they're basically exactly in alignment here. So this is obviously at 0% on the treadmill. I was doing 15 kph, which is 6:26 a mile, so it's perfect correlation. And the new firmware, they seem to have fixed the air power. It's the first time I actually used it on the treadmill, but apparently people were getting air power on the treadmill, which is obviously doesn't make any sense, does it? If you're in an indoor environment, you shouldn't be getting any extra help from wind resistance, as it were. So that's now 0%, but you can kind of see actually that power or pace in this sort of situation is almost irrelevant. It's exactly the same, so pick a number and takes your choice. I've had a few runs where it was really wet, where basically the air power went mad, so I've had to delete them, but today's was alright, although I've got a few issues recording on the 955 at the moment, so I had to switch over to the 945, and I was averaging 287 watts, got overall air power of 3%. It was sort of a bit breezy today. I think it was about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So this new firmware that I've now got, they seem to reduce the air power. So it's kind of almost back to how it was before, which I'm not quite sure whether it's right or not. But I'm still not really convinced by power. I think I'd just like to have another gadget on my foot and look at more data later. But I think in a situation like this, I was just sort of going on feel, thinking, oh, this is sort of hard work. I was running uphill, wasn't paying too much attention. But yeah, some of my cadence there at 180, so that's quite good, and all this stuff. So yeah, I thought it was about 290 previously when I do 256 in Seville, and it's 287 today with 3% air power. So yeah, I'm there or thereabouts. So let's sort of look at their race predictions. Well, actually, with a critical power of 331, which is what it's been ever since I did a 5k, so it hasn't really moved. That's one of the problems I found with Stryd, that you don't really get any changes in critical power unless you get like a dodgy air power that I did, or you do a 5k race. There's only so many 5k races you could do, but I suppose it's sort of reassuring that I'm predicting 2:59.28. Let's have a look at Garmin, see what my race predictions are at the moment. So at the moment, I got a race prediction of 3:09:30, which is actually the lowest it's been. It had been hovering around about 3:11, 3:12, so it's going in the right direction. I've got this Farnborough Half Marathon coming up next Sunday, and it's predicting 1:28, and I feel like I need to do sort of a low 1:26 to have any chance of a sub 3. I think the 5k and the 10k correspond quite well to the last sort of outings I've had on them, 18:41 and 39:37. If we go back and have a look at how it's been changing, so let's look at the marathon race prediction over the time the last 4 weeks. So it had been, as I said, constantly on 3:11. I've noticed that. I think it suddenly jumped up to 3:02. I'm not quite sure why that was. I was experimenting with having the 9:45 on there as well, so maybe that's from the different algorithm. Anyway, so it's back to sort of more reasonable levels, I think. I mean, obviously it would be nice to be closer to sub 3. I did notice 3 years ago before Seville, even with the old algorithm, the 9:45, it only got sort of like down to under 3 hours in the last sort of week or two when I was tapering, so maybe that's a good sign. Yeah, I think what's happened here is that it's picked up the estimates for the 9:45 in the middle of that, so they've already shot up for a few days, and then they've shot back down again, so I think that's just changing device. So that's something to be aware of. If we look at VO2 max, yeah, VO2 max has been constant like for a long time now at 59. The new algorithm is really quite stable, even if we go to the last year. So yeah, 59, 59. It dropped to 58 as when I had that sort of virus in October, November. And then, yeah, had been 57, so 58, 59. So at least it's sort of trending up, but it's very constant now at the moment, the VO2 max. It doesn't jump around half as much as it ever used to. Okay, so if we look at my calendar, I don't really use the Garmin calendar, to be honest, but it does illustrate the fact in a week's time I've got the Farnborough Half Marathon, and then Seville is on the 19th. So not long to go now. How long is that? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. 5 weeks' time I'm doing the marathon. That's quite scary. But yeah, not for want of trying. Anyway, so I hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe and all that. And see you next one then. Bye.